I can't prepare you for what you are about to hear.
Important part, an interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny, I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this. And
your dad knocked the nanny up? You can play the whole answer. Right, okay, all right. Your dad knocked up the nanny? Is that how you came about? Your dad was like this? What is this masculinity? You had an affair with the nanny? And you sent her out to Planned Parenthood to go take care of the results of the procreative process. Isn't that how they phrase it now at Planned Parenthood? The products of conception were taken care of by Planned Parenthood. Ooh, what a manly man you are. You follow a member of Al Qaeda around. She would be a member of the squad if she was still in the House of Representatives or in Congress. You follow her around like a little puppy dog. You carry her purse for heaven's sake. This is the new masculinity? Well, you know what? This is the only kind of masculinity that the Democrats and that the baby-killing nutcases out there can wrap their heads around. Because Greg Gutfeld puts it best. Play Gutfeld. Gutfeld and Gutfeld absolutely nails this. Masculine, real manly man. Let me tell you who's a real manly man. Bug freaking Hall is a manly man. Bug Hall don't play nothing. That guy threw everything that he ever knew in his entire life, put it in the closet, and said, this is not good for my family. I'm the leader of the family. We're going to do something different, family. You're with me. We're going to go back to the land. And he did. And they've suffered some hardships. They got kicked off the first piece of property. A terrible, terrible thing happened to Bug. Bug got in a row with the people, the editors of Newsweek and whatever else. Is how dare you say that your daughters aren't heirs? They're not. When his son was born, now I finally have an heir. Well, true. Okay, your name can pass on now because you have an heir. Bug Hall is a real masculine guy. Okay. People think that masculinity requires weightlifting and pumping iron and being able to pull trains with a rope in a contest or whatever. I mean, look, that's a characteristic. That's an accident of masculinity. So, my philosophical training comes in handy now. Real masculinity is having the stones to do what is necessary in a fallen modern world to get your wife and your children to heaven. That's what masculinity is. That will probably mean you will have to fight for them. That will probably mean you will have to fight to provide for them. That will probably mean that you will have to tell people that want to cause them harm, if you do, I'm going to kick your ever-loving ass. That will probably mean that you're going to have to lay bare knuckles on a jaw. That will probably mean a lot of things. It will not mean that you knocked the nanny up. It will not mean that you followed like a little fag hag around a woman. And who through you, voluntarily, by design, remain childless. What did you ever contribute to the world? Masculine men secure borders. You know why? Because people that cross borders want things from the people that live on the other side. And a masculine man is going to say, you're not coming in here and taking that from me and from mine. Which is why these people can't understand, why do we need this closed border? You know why, Stephanie Rule? So when you're walking in the parking lot at Radio City Music Hall in New Teatland City, you're not afraid, and God forbid it should happen, but I bet it has. You're not accosted by, mugged, stolen from, raped, beaten, murdered in a parking lot by an illegal alien criminal murdering trespasser. Real men want closed borders. Real men say, I'm going to do the honorable thing and marry you and become a father to that boy or that girl. That's what a real man does. That's masculinity. Hopefully he was masculine and virtuous enough in the first place that, the products of conception were never exchanged. Greg Gutfeld, same subject.
Right, Greg. What is with this subtext about being masculine? Why is that all of a sudden a big issue?
Well, I mean, I agree with Jen Psaki. Nothing says I'm a man more than knocking up your nanny and then pointing her in the direction of Planned Parenthood. If a woman came up to me and said, Greg, you're really reshaping the perception of masculinity, I would be devastated. That is one sick burn. What is it telling you? You're not masculine. I would throw myself into the path of an oncoming Prius if a woman told me that. Now imagine if a woman said the reverse to you and said, you know what, Greg, you remind me of a throwback to old masculinity, that yucky stuff like, courage, strength, and reliability, reflected in people like Lee Marvin and Charles Bronson and Robert Mitchum and Clint Eastwood. That's disgusting. Look, there's a reason Seth Meyers isn't in action movies, okay? But we told you a while ago that this race was about gender and it was never about class. Because there's no kind of man that would support a party that releases criminals into the general population. There's no kind of man that would support other men beating women in women's sports. There's no kind of man that would support open borders that would allow rapists and murderers in to put their wives, their sisters, and their mothers in danger. It shows you that their definition of masculinity is a lot like their definition of femininity. There is none.
Well, and unfortunately, that is true. And don't make no mistake about it. There are tens of millions of guys like that he was just describing here